I'm Dr. Ryan Watkins, program scientist at NASA.
So there's a lot of cool stuff happening this weekend. Uh, for Sunday, can you go ahead and just tell me what exactly is going on?
Yeah, so this Sunday we're in for a real treat. Most of North and South America will have front row seats to a total lunar eclipse. So a total lunar eclipse occurs when the sun, earth, and moon align, and the earth blocks the sun's light and casts a shadow on the surface of the moon. The period of time in which the moon is in the darkest part of Earth's shadow is called totality. And during totality, the moon is actually going to be glowing a coppery red color. And this coppery red glow of the moon in totality will last for just shy of 90 minutes on Sunday evening.
So as far as I know, coppery red moons and total eclipses aren't something I see every day. Is this kind of a rare event?
It's not super rare, but it doesn't occur, every month, for example. So there are a couple of conditions you need to meet to have a total lunar eclipse. First, you need a full moon, which we do get every month. However, the moon typically orbits the Earth at an incline, so you don't always get this perfect alignment of the sun, Earth, and moon that you do need for a total lunar eclipse. So it's only when you can get those three aligned in such a way that the moon can fall completely in the Earth's shadow that you'll get a total lunar eclipse. So we had one in May of last year, and we're going to have one again in November of this year. So they occur on a somewhat regular basis, but not super frequently.
And to talk about technology right now, when we do these lunar looks, uh, are we finding any new information or researching, gathering new data about the moon?
Yeah, so we're gathering all sorts of new information about the moon. So we have the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, or LRO, in orbit around the moon right now. That's gathering all sorts of great scientific data about the moon, as well as scouting out future landing sites for the moon. We're working on developing other technologies that can help us both land safely on the moon, as well as use the resources that are on the moon. Harvest things like oxygen from the lunar soil, for example, that astronauts can use. We're also developing, hazard avoidance technologies and precision landing technologies to help us land more safely in the areas we want to go.
It kind of brings us again to technology and what's been developed to help learn more about the moon. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so I mentioned the things like the hazard avoidance technology, things that can help us avoid craters and big rocks when we want to land, as well as the precision landing that can help us really pinpoint exactly the spot we want to land and then land there. Other types of technologies, again, we're working on, things like, drills and sampling systems and ways to harvest resources from the surface of the moon. These are all things that will be advantageous when we're actually on the surface of the moon, as well as applicable for when we send astronauts onto Mars at a later date. And in the midst of all of this, as we're developing technologies to help us get to the moon and work on the moon, it's really helping improve our technologies here on Earth as well.
And I love that. I still love it, the idea that we can talk about one day being on Mars and learning more about that. But it kind of going back to, I guess, layman's terms here. Oh, what's the point? What's the point of doing all this work and spending all that money to research the moon?
Yeah, so the moon actually acts as a window into the inner solar system's history. So by studying the moon, we're not only learning about the moon itself, we're learning more about our own planet as well as the other planets in the inner solar system. So on Earth, for example, we have weathering processes. We have wind and rain and ice and different things that kind of act to erase some of the early geologic history of the Earth. We don't see a ton of impact craters on Earth, for example. And then the tectonic activity on the moon is continually recycling the Earth's crust. But by going to the moon, it acts as sort of a Rosetta Stone and preserves this ancient history of the inner solar system. We can study the early bombardment and dynamics of the solar system by looking at the impact craters on the moon. By studying the chemical composition of the rocks we bring back from the moon, we can have a little glimpse into the early infancy of Earth's geologic history as well. And again, by going to the moon, which is our nearest neighbor, it's readily accessible, and learning to use the resources there and develop different technologies, we can then prepare ourselves better for going onward to Mars at a later date.
I say this again, I do feel like a 10-year-old talking to NASA right now. And if you were to tell me that a 10-year-old and a senior citizen both have the same sense of wonder about space, I would 100% believe you. It has that appeal. And my question for you is, Why do you think that is? Why is there such a fascination and wonderment when people think about space?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit different for different people, but I think on one hand, we're all ingrained as explorers. We've been exploring since the earliest, history. We had Christopher Columbus explored and discovered the Americas, for example. There were explorers before him and after him. So it's really a part of human nature, not only to explore, but to understand more about where we came from. We want to learn more about, our history. Where did we come from as, beings on Earth? And studying the moon is one of many ways to do that. We're also interested in what does our future look like? What are the future generations? What are they going to do in terms of where are they going to live? And what are they going to do as our planet ages? Are we onward to Mars or somewhere else? So I think there's a lot of different areas in which, creates this awe and wonder as we think about the moon and our own planet.
And heading back to looking back at Sunday,
Mhm.
other than just looking up, is there a good way to kind of catch a view of the total eclipse?
Yeah, so again, the easiest thing to do is just to go outside and look up at the sky and watch the eclipse. Again, if you're in North America, I think except for Alaska, you should be able to get a good view of it. However, if weather conditions aren't good or you're just somewhere where you can't see the eclipse, we will be streaming it live on NASA TV. So you could even watch it from the comfort of your own couch if you would prefer.
Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with? Any last comments about what's going on?
Yeah, no, I'll just say it's a very exciting time to be thinking about the moon or to be a lunar scientist. We've got a lot of programs that are sending missions to the moon and sending humans back to the moon. So it's just a very exciting time in lunar history.